Hello and welcome to the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Cara Falco.
And I'm Mike Favetta. Thanks for joining us.
So, Mike, that federal bribery trial for Senator Bob Menendez, it continues to play out like a made-for-TV movie. So, according to court papers that were unsealed on Tuesday, Senator Menendez is blaming his wife, claiming she kept him in the dark about the alleged illegal dealings. So, joining us now is former New Jersey legislator and attorney John Wisniewski. Welcome back to the show. Good morning, John.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
We're always happy to have you. So Senator Menendez and his wife are co-defendants, and they're being tried separately. Is that unusual for something like this?
It's not unusual because a husband and wife have what is known as spousal immunity. You can't force one spouse to testify against another. And if one of those two parties wants to testify at trial in their own defense, then they can't be forced to say something about the other spouse that would be held against them. And so the tactic here is for each spouse to be tried separately. And Bob Menendez clearly is following a path here to say, I was uninformed, I didn't know. And perhaps when his wife is tried, she'll say the same thing.
Now, Senator, what are the chances that Menendez didn't know about the gold bars in his house?
Well, it's hard to say, but when you look at the overall package of evidence, you have one of the co-defendants already pleading guilty to having improperly given gifts to his wife in order to influence the senator. That would undermine the credibility of anything that he's now going to claim at trial. So it seems to me a bit of a Hail Mary pass on his part, but given photographs of gold bars and cash that has been linked to accounts not his own, it seems to be the only play he has left.
It's so fascinating. So how do you think a judge and jury will react to a defendant blaming his wife?
Well, what the judge's reaction is probably not as important as what the jury's reaction will be. I mean, the judge instructs the jury on what the law is, but the jury gets to decide what the facts are. Do they believe Bob Menendez? Do they believe his wife? Do they believe the prosecutor? And it seems to me, if you have reasonably minded jurors, I mean, there'll be some who will say, yeah, that's happened to me. My wife's done something that hasn't told me. But again, if the trial is just solely about whether it's credible that Bob Menendez didn't know what his wife was doing, it might be an effective strategy. But there are all these other points of evidence that would seem to call into doubt the veracity of the senator saying he didn't know. This other defendant who's pled guilty, who has said, yes, I did these things to influence Bob Menendez. How does that testimony deflate that allegation?
Now, Senator, relating to the details of the case, what in fact could get Senator Menendez convicted, or on the flip side, what could get him cleared?
Well, this is a jury of his peers who are given the job of deciding what the facts of the case are as it applies to the law. And the prosecution needs a unanimous jury. And so the defense strategy is to try to pick off at least one juror, to convince one juror that there is some level of reasonable doubt on part of these charges. And if on each one of these charges they convince a juror that this may not actually be what it seems to be, then he may get acquitted.
Really, really fascinating stuff, especially the husband-wife aspect of it and how that plays into the law. John, thank you so much for joining us this morning, for your insight and your expertise. We always appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Look forward to it.
We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks.
Really, fascinating stuff, and it's so interesting that they're being tried separately and that they can each kind of point the finger at the other one, and no one can really It's very, very interesting how that.
And just like when we have Laura Jones on, our political reporter, it's incredible to hear the evolution of this case because we first found out, we brought you the news here on New Jersey, we started interviewing guests, and then all the details come out and all these twists and turns, and those New Jersey politics, they never fail to entertain.
There is no soap opera writer as good as New Jersey politicians, I'll tell you that much. All right, guys. Well, next up, they are celebrating 65 years how the New Jersey Ballet is preparing for their upcoming performance.
Plus, what's New Jersey's favorite convenience store? We answer that ahead. Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Mike Favetta along with Cara Falco. Cara, according to Fortune, New Jersey is smashing internet gambling records with huge revenue coming in from online betting. But Atlantic City casinos are still struggling. Many of them are still below pre-COVID numbers. Cara, have you been to Atlantic City recently?
I have not. You know what? I have to tell you, I was never a big AC person to start with. Truly, first of all, you know, it's in my mind, it's a long drive, and B, I don't enjoy gambling. Like if I'm gonna drop $100, I'm coming out with a pair of shoes.
I would say back in my, earlier days,
In my youthful days.
in my youthful days, back in my 20s, when you had all this disposable income because you were living at home, had a car and no other real bills.
No other bills.
Essentially. Yeah, you'd go down, sure, with friends for a night or two or a long weekend, and yes, make the most of it. But I think, when you're a little bit older, maybe just to get away from the kids or want your own staycation, I guess maybe a little bit. But for me, it's the fact that they still allow the smoking in the casinos.
That's another bit. Yeah, I really can't. Yeah. I remember, I'm really going to date myself now. When I turned 21, you could still smoke in bars in New Jersey. And I remember not wanting to go out really for my birthday and for those first few years because I couldn't handle the smoke in the bars. And once they banned it, then I would be able to go out with my friends. And so, yeah, you bring up a really valid point. I can't handle the cigarette smoke in the casinos. It's just
right, and then that's another debate of how the workers want the smoke-free casino for their own health. Yet some other properties, say if you go upstate to the Catskills, they are smoke-free. and the gambling floor was full for my bachelor party when everybody was there and enjoying a smoke-free experience. And I gotta say, it's kind of nice not to leave smelling like an ashtray when you
Yeah,
go
yeah. I
to
think what
out for the
Atlantic City
weekend.
needs more than anything is maybe to focus less on the casinos and start bringing up the other aspects that drive people to the Jersey Shore. Because if you think about Asbury Park and Seaside Heights and Long Branch, they have
Sure.
these wonderful restaurants. The boardwalks have all been rebuilt. They're
Yeah.
clean. They are at least during the day. They're family friendly. And I think those are the sort of things that Atlantic City is missing. It's unfortunately the city itself is not really in great shape. It's
hmm
potentially dangerous at times. And there's just other than those casinos, there's nothing else to do there.
And that might be the aspect. It's not really a family-friendly destination. People would drive right by and go down to the Wildwoods or Cape May with their family rather than stop in AC.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? Summer's upon us. Let's see what happens this year. Well, moving on, the New Jersey Ballet is celebrating its 65th anniversary this year, and here to talk about it is artistic director Maria Korowski. Maria joins us as the company prepares for its May 3rd and 4th performance happening in Newark at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. Maria, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Maria, it's a pleasure to have you here. So tell us, how is the company celebrating its 65th anniversary?
Well, we've been celebrating all year long. We started our performances back in November, so we are kicking off a return to New Jersey Performing Arts Center, which we are very excited about. It's been about 7 years since the company performed there, and we have a wonderful evening of ballets in store for the audience, and we can't wait to share it with everyone.
That's really something special. What kind of things can the audience expect to see at your performance at NJ Pack? Ballet, obviously, but in what degree and to what types of music and things like that?
So I always try to create a program that has a little bit of something for everyone. So we actually are starting with a ballet called Murder Ballads, which is choreographed by Justin Peck, and he's a Tony Award winning choreographer. He was a dancer with New York City Ballet, and it's in sneakers, and it's a really fun piece that I think will excite the audience. The company's actually never performed in sneakers, so it's our first time doing that.
Wow.
The next is called Purcell Suite, to Henry Purcell music. And it's a beautiful emotional piece that choreographer Harrison Ball, who's also a former New York City Ballet principal dancer, choreographed when I first arrived in the company. And it's a stunning piece. The costumes are done by world-renowned fashion designer Zach Posen. And I've gotten amazing feedback from this ballet. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, it was so emotional, so beautiful. And, it's really beautiful for the audience to see. And then we're closing with actually a world premiere by resident choreographer Paul Taylor, Lauren Lovett, who was also a former principal dancer with New York City Ballet. And it's actually being performed to a new score by Kevin Putz. And so that's a really exciting thing. So we're really looking forward to this evening. And I think it has just a little bit of something for everyone.
That world premiere really sounds amazing. So this Lauren Lovett, she is a choreographer that, is, as you said, a resident. Tell us more about that, because that seems to be a hot ticket in Newark.
She was a principal dancer with New York City Ballet, and I, shared the stage with her, worked with her. She's a lovely human being, and she's been the resident choreographer at Paul Taylor for the last 3 years, and created work for them for their seasons, and she's created work all over the country, but obviously having the connection with her that I do have, I asked her if she would create a ballet for New Jersey Ballet, and of course she was over the moon to do it, and we're really excited to have this new work on our program, and I think it's called Jewel Box. And if you use your imagination, you can imagine, like a little ballerina spinning in a jewelry box, and just kind of, she expands on that theme. So it's going to be really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I love that because when I was a little girl, I had one of those jewelry boxes. So that'll be something to see. Maria, when you look forward, and I think, maybe help our audience a little bit too, because I think sometimes the implication around ballet is that it's kind of an old-fashioned thing to do, if you will. So when you look forward to the next 65 years of the New Jersey Ballet, what do you envision?
Well, I think it's important to, keep the classics alive, like the ones that everyone knows, like the Nutcracker, Swan Lake, Sleeping Beauty. But I think ballet is moving forward in a new direction, and we're trying to keep it alive and bring in contemporary works, bring in works that excite the audience, and really kind of, display the athleticism that the dancers have, because I think that's something people don't really understand sometimes, how hard this is. They work just as hard as a professional athlete, and what they do every day in the studio, they're in there, 6, 8 hours a day, crafting and honing in and perfecting everything that goes into a performance. And I think, it's important for me as an artistic director to really look at the community and kind of see ballets that I think will excite them and promote our company and bring people into the theater. I want to have more people in the theater that really appreciate what we're doing. And I know there's so many other things out there. There's sports, there's devices, there's a lot of other things that people are more interested in. But I think, ballet is a beautiful art form. And I hope that we can, make people excited about it. And, by bringing in new works and enticing new people to come into the theater.
And Maria, where can folks find out more about the New Jersey Ballet?
ONNJ Ballet at sorry, I just completely forgot what I was going to say. NJballet.org.
Maria Kurowski, Artistic Director of the New Jersey Ballet. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Exciting, Cara. That's really some really nice stuff there at the NJ Pack.
And NJ Pack does wonderful work, and so does New Jersey Ballet, and it's something I love that they kind of keep those classics alive, but then also bring in those new, more modern pieces. That when she said they were going to perform in sneakers, I was like, imagine. I mean, I haven't danced since I was 8 years old, but to go from being particularly a point ballerina to dancing in sneakers, it's got to be extremely difficult. That's a very different shoe. So that's really something to see.
And speaking of, we were talking about family-friendly activities earlier. This
Right.
is something that it really is fun for the whole family, from 0 to 110.
Yeah.
Take anyone, they'll enjoy.
Literally.
They'll enjoy that, and maybe be inspired. Inspire those future generations.
Absolutely.
Cara, up next, we'll take you inside New Jersey's Paisan Con, where we meet podcaster Tony Manja.
Plus, can you guess New Jersey's favorite convenience store? The answer is up next.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Mike Favetta, along with Cara Falco. A new Monmouth University poll asked New Jerseyans, what is your favorite convenience store? 7-Eleven, Quick Check, Wawa, or something else? The clear winner was Wawa with 50% of the vote. 7-Eleven received 15% and Quick Check 14%. I would have to agree with that, Cara. I'm kind of sided on the Wawa.
Are you?
Because I think they have really great coffee. I enjoy the sizzly, and they have supercharging if you are an electric vehicle driver. So that's always a plus when you're stuck in traffic or want to go on a road trip. You can kind of always count on a Wawa to have that fast charge.
Yeah, I think, truthfully, I don't go to any of them for much of anything other than gas. I will go to Wawa or, Wawa down the shore for gas and Quick Check up here. But other than that, I'm trying to think, like, I don't know what else We're not coffee. I don't know. Well, and you were though too. I don't know. My family's they're like, just make your coffee at home. Like, why would you go out?
Well, okay. When you're on the road, so like here's the point. When I was moving 2 years ago, right? When I got engaged, there were two Wawas in between my home and my new house. So in between, I would stop for coffee. Doing the long runs back and forth, hauling things over. And you got hungry. Maybe I needed to use the bathroom. Maybe there was. I needed to top up on the charge with the car. So it really was convenient. The fact that you're right, Quick Check does also have the inexpensive gas compared
the gas
to
station.
the other
And
chains.
I feel like both of those, you bring up a good point in terms of like going to the bathroom on a long road trip, because more like those two places, I know, especially as a woman, and if I'm by myself, I'm like, those are safe places to stop. Somebody works there. There's security cameras. The lights are always on. Like, the bathrooms are relatively clean versus, just kind of stopping at a regular gas station. So I'm like, for that, I'm like, I know that that's a safe place for me to stop and go to the bathroom or whatever.
You're right. I think that, with all of the Wawas that are available, specifically in southern New Jersey, they just started creeping their way north.
They are. South Jersey loves their Wawa, though.
Right. But it was always the joke growing up, is there a Wawa in Mawa? And I think they actually put money on that. And there is. Yeah. I think they added one not too long ago.
Well, it is a very Jersey thing, and so is this. From The Sopranos to the best pizza in New York, according to the Times, New Jersey is known for its strong Italian-American culture. PaisanCon was recently held in Fairfield. It's a convention that celebrates Italian-American heritage and pop culture. On New Jersey's Danielle McCartan was there and caught up with podcaster and influencer Anthony Cilia, better known as Tony Mangia.
Danielle McCartan here at PaisanCon with none other than the Guido, Tony Mangia. Tony, what's it like being here?
This is like Christmas, the Super Bowl, World Series, every big, the Olympics. It's everything right here, PaisanCon. I'm having a blast. This is my element. I love being Italian. I love being Italian-American. I love to promote our culture, our heritage, food, and just to be around a bunch of great people. Are you Italian? Let me ask you, are you Italian?
Certamente.
Okay, so where are you from in Italy?
Sicilia.
Oh, so am I.
Quale città?
A small town in Messina called Capizzi.
Oh, okay. I'm up in the mountains in Caltanissetta.
Oh, beautiful. What's the town? Don't tell me like Musamelli.
God, no. It's
I think now I'm interviewing. No, but seriously, we'll talk about that off the camera.
We went to visit it too. It's a tiny town. It's got 2 streets, and I can't think of the name of it.
But no, seriously, all kidding aside, what Nikki Petito and Bill from Annabella's did here is unbelievable, and I think that it can only get bigger and better next year. Next year's gonna be huge.
What do you want to see next year?
I want to see everything I've seen this year. And a lot more. I want to see maybe some more vendors, maybe some like book signings, some Italian authors would be nice, Italian American authors. Of course, we have this guy right here, Charlie. Charlie's an amazing singer.
He's the best.
I'm not the best. You're the best. He sings unbelievable. This kid. He's going on in a few minutes. You're gonna come see him.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
You're the man.
But no, seriously, that's that. That's it.
What is the best part about being Italian American?
Family. Family's the best thing. I mean, because without the sacrifices of our family, none of this would be here today. It's because our grandparents, our great-grandparents came here, left what they knew for thousands of years to come to a country that they had no idea what was going to happen. I mean, there's a famous quote in Ellis Island. It says that the streets were paved. They were told the streets were paved with gold.
They didn't know they
Little
had to
did
pave
they
them.
know they were the ones paving them. So what our people did, the sacrifices they made for us to be here, for us to go, to go to college. I mean, most of us first person to go to college in our family, and it's just that's the most important thing. Then of course, the food is always, my nickname is Tony Mangia, so the food is very, very important to eat. But of course, Italian American food is a lot different than Italian food. But so I can never knock Italian American food because that, although that's not Italian food, it's still something. So what I say is there's 20 regions in Italy, right? So Italian America, New Jersey, New York, wherever there's a little Italy is the 21st region. Yeah. So our food is part of the culture, although it's not.
And you do a food podcast.
I do some food. I do a lot of social media, at Tony Mangia, at Instagram. And but yeah, but so I'm honored to be a part of this, and I'm honored to be talking to you.
So am I.
Especially that you're a paisana.
That's right. Appreciate it. And by the way, does the name of this bother you, Paisan Con?
No.
I know what they're doing
No.
there, but
It does not bother me because paisan. I mean, the Italian, the Italian word would be like paisano, right? So it would actually be spelled P-A-E, right? It's P-A-E. No. In Italy, no, it would be.
you asked me the English way or the Italian way?
No, the Italian, the true Italian way is P-A-E.
Oh yeah,
For paese.
Right.
So this is more of the Italian American way. So of course we don't say. I mean, we say the proper way is mozzarella, but we say mozzarella or mutz. Ricotta.
That's Jersey Italian.
Madonna me. Hey, that's what it's all about, right? Don't worry about it. But yeah, so no, it does not offend me to call it Paisan Con, and con just means convention, so it's like Comic Con for Italians.
What better?
Yeah, exactly, for Italians.
I'm a little bit sorry I missed it, and Tony Manja happens to be a friend. But yeah, definitely, it was the first of its kind, held again in Fairfield, and I'm interested to see if they, how they continue to grow that and celebrate. And I love that Tony touched on a couple of important things, that both Italian American food and culture on the whole is different than Italian. It's its own thing, but it's still a beautiful thing.
And what better place to have it than in Fairfield, New Jersey? I mean, it really is the case. I met up at Palazzone's over on Route 23.
Yep.
Now that last month, with my friends for a quick lunch, and everyone in the little cafe area, kind of were overhearing each other's conversations, and this person, that person. So the familial aspect certainly is there in that area in Essex County.
100%. And the couple who owns Palazzone are friends of mine too, because I'm there all the time. It's a great place to go practice your Italian.
Yes, it is. That's true.
All right, guys. Next up, why one New Jersey town is limiting what flags can fly in front of Town Hall.
And we'll meet the organizers of New Jersey's Heart of Oneness Holistic Expo.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Cara Falco along with Mike Favetta. Well, Tuesday was election day for voters in 20 different municipalities across New Jersey for school board races and special school referendums. Now, the turnout was historically low. According to the New Jersey Globe, only 2% of voters turned out in Newark. Byram Township saw the most, with 20% of voters heading to the polls. So the question is, why hold these elections separate from the election in November? Mike, what do you think they should be doing?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think, maybe they don't want to clog the ballot. That could be, just an idea of why they don't do these in November when typically most people go to the polls. But it's hard, especially on, a week where there's still a lot of spring breakers this time of year. Maybe those that aren't present to vote. But of course, New Jersey has absentee ballot voting. You automatically get the ballot if you registered, like I did back during COVID. It's just it could be, the apathetic voter that we hear about that just doesn't participate in these small town elections anymore for school boards.
Yeah, I think, I think there's a couple factors there. I think, first of all, as much as we talk about property taxes in this state, I think if you don't have kids in the school system, it's hard to really get involved and
Sure.
want to play a role in anything doing with the school system. One. Two, I agree. I think it's the time of year. I think maybe if we did this, perhaps even in August, as people are gearing up for back to school and that school mentality is on people's minds, then you might find more people interested in taking an active role in what's going on with their school system. Now, I don't know if that leaves enough time for them to get those folks into place and make changes for the upcoming school year, or if they would have to, that might be all part of it as well. But yeah, and I don't know if it would, I wonder if you would get more voters doing it on the regular election day, because like you said, more people turn out for those elections, but are they aware of the school board? But then it's a lot of information for people to take in.
Yeah, and then there's the ballot questions that you have to vote on, the referendums. So it could be a lot, and maybe that's why it's spread out over the year.
Interesting. Interesting stuff.
We'll see what happens next cycle. The town of Boonton has a new ordinance for flying flags. The American flag and the POW flag are the only ones that can be flown outside of Boonton Town Hall. Joining us now is council member representing Ward 4, Benjamin Weissman. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. So, Councilman, tell us, what sparked this ordinance to be passed?
Sure. So if we go back about a year, just over a year, and a request was made to fly a pride flag in Grace Lord, at Town Hall in the municipal flagpole. There was a robust discussion, debate around members of last year's council, and ultimately a compromise was reached whereby the pride flag was able to be flown below the American flag, below the POW flag at our Grace Lord Park on the municipal flagpole there. And I remember being there in June last year. The flag flew for the whole month, and seeing the joy that it brought to so many people. I saw kids looking up at that flag, young adults seeing that represented them. I saw adults feeling like, hey, this is a community that sees me, that recognizes that I deserve to be here, that I'm safe. And so it was really I thought, a beautiful thing. Over the course of last year, as we got towards the end of the year, the council passed in a bipartisan manner an ordinance which sort of codified the process by which flags could be flown. That they had to adhere to a presidential proclamation. In that way, we would ensure that hate speech would never fly in our flagpoles. And there was a clear process that was established. After that ordinance was passed, only one group requested a flag, and that was Boonton Rainbow Pride, to fly the flag, the pride flag again on the municipal flagpoles this year in June of 2024. That sparked a revision or a review of the current ordinance, and ultimately a repeal of that ordinance, and a new one which passed on Monday on a pure party line vote. Unfortunately, I always say partisan politics should not infect local government. Unfortunately, sometimes it does. This was one of those examples, but it passed on a pure party line vote, which restricted the ability for groups to fly flags that align with presidential proclamations, and limited the flags that could be displayed to only the American flag, military flags, POW, MIA flag. So that's sort of how we got here, and what happened. There was a robust public discussion and debate around it. I voted no on that ordinance in full transparency. I think the current one we had, the prior one was right, but that's where we are.
Councilman, do you see this coming up for vote again, or because some say in town that this is controversial? What do you think are the next steps going forward so that a pride flag can be flown?
Yeah, what I hope the next steps are are a real look at how we do displays in town. On this, it's ironic to me that in the same meeting that we changed this ordinance to not allow for other flags to be flown, ostensibly because of a concern of what floodgates it would open, although that's, I think, was a straw man argument. What we also approved the National Day of Prayer service to be held at Town Hall grounds. I voted in support of that. I think that's appropriate. I think that's okay to be doing. But it felt a little hypocritical, sort of why one was okay and one wasn't. So what I hope we do is come together and work together on a comprehensive display ordinance, what's allowed to be displayed on municipal property. I hope we do it in a way that enfranchises, not disenfranchises members of our community. I hope we do it in a way that isn't targeted to one group, the way this new ordinance clearly was. Because I think about the restricting the pride flag may have been the impetus for this decision, but the implications go far beyond it. You think about those communities all around Morris County, where I am, all around New Jersey, all around the country, that flew the Ukrainian flag on municipal flagpoles after Russia's attack, and what that meant to Ukrainian families who saw and said, "Oh, this is a community that supports me and supports my country's right to exist." That Putin would no longer allow that with this new ordinance. We see breast cancer awareness and other kinds of medical awareness flags flying in various communities. This ordinance doesn't allow for that in Putin. I think we're not on the right path with it, and I hope that with a new display ordinance that can be comprehensive, we get there. One other point I'll share is a couple of weeks ago, when this ordinance was originally introduced, I made a motion to table it. I said, okay, if the goal of this council is to really if we take the best intentions, if the goal of the ordinance is really to protect Putin, make sure that we don't allow for speech that would hate speech to others to be. Let's do this comprehensively. Then let's not just sort of cherry pick one thing because of one group that represented. So I asked for more time, that we could really work together on a compromise. That was rejected by the majority on the council. I hope moving forward, though, that's what we do.
I'm just trying to think, there is something to be said about, because it seems like this ordinance now, as you said, it really only allows for the U.S. flag and military flags, which for the most part would not create any type of controversy whatsoever. Are there a lot of requests to represent different communities and different things? And is there another way that perhaps the town could do that beyond a flag? So like you said, I know that they had approved a day of prayer at Town Hall. Could there be some other type of celebration that does not necessarily involve a raising of a flag for a certain group or community or incident, that maybe the town could acknowledge their community in a different way?
Yeah, I think that's probably the direction we're ultimately going in. I think that when I sort of look at the totality of it, I see this ordinance was put into place, but last year there was one group that requested a flag, and that was for Pride. And it seems to me that unfortunately this new effort was targeted at that one group. Subsequently, there was one additional request made by a resident. I don't know whether he was serious or not, because he also advocated that we shouldn't be doing flags, but then also requested a flag. So I'm not sure what his level of seriousness was in his approach. But you think about the 4-6 month period, it was really one group that seriously requested a flag. And I do think that the power of a flag is something that goes back millennia. Flags hold a very strong meaning, a very strong significance. When we think about the POW MIA flag and the rationale for that being created, that was created for a very small group of people, a very, very limited group, but there was such meaning for that very small group. I think it was specifically prisoners of war. I think it was the Korean War. It wasn't to represent all prisoners of war, right? If you go back in the history of it, but there was a real power to it. The power of seeing a flag fly, a flag that speaks to you, a flag that makes you feel seen, a flag that makes you recognize that you're in a community that's safe. We want that in Putin. Our motto is small town, big heart. That shouldn't just be on a painted on a wall or on town motto. That should really be what runs through all of us. I think the value of having a flag flown that says this is a place where bullying is unacceptable. This is a place where otherism is unacceptable. We heard conversation around, well, people can just fly the flag on their own property. Well, that's certainly true. But there's a difference, I think, when the governmental entity says, hey, on our property, we're saying this is important. It's why governments put Christmas trees on town property. Why do we see holiday displays and conversations around all of that? I think representation is really important. And so, I think flying a flag is a part of that on the municipal flagpole. That was rejected by the current council. What I'm hoping for is that we'll have a compromise where, whether it be a second flagpole that's a more of a ceremonial flagpole, whether it be flags being allowed to be incorporated into displays, I think there's a way that we can get something done if my colleagues on the council are willing to come together. And I hope they are.
Councilman, you bring up a lot of good points. It's definitely something for everybody to think about. And we thank you so much for your time today. We'll keep following what happens in Boonton. Thank you again.
It's my pleasure. Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Interesting stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, that's it's something you wouldn't really expect from a small town in Morris County. But then again, going right down the party line, we know Morris County kind of swings to the right. That kind of unfortunate how that turned out.
It's very interesting too. You don't think about small town politics being quite so harsh, but even from my own personal, when I was a little girl, my dad ran for council in the town that I grew up in, and it was brutal. And sometimes these small municipalities, the politics gets even more nasty than it does on the public federal, congressional level. So it's really interesting. And something to see. And he brought up a lot of good points, particularly about representation. And your government should reflect the entirety of the community.
It should. It should. Well, up next, we get an inside look at the Heart of Oneness Holistic Expo that took place here in New Jersey.
Plus, we're going to meet the mayor of Belleville and learn what's happening in his town. Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Cara Falco along with Mike Favetta. Well, the Heart of Oneness Holistic Expo took place in Edison last weekend, and here to tell us all about it are founders K&A and Matt Riley. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
It's amazing.
It's great to have you both here. So how did the event go? Tell us about what someone can expect at the expo.
The event was absolutely amazing. We had beautiful attendees. We had over 300 participants from all around the nation, all supporting and offering products that are helping people to improve and bring in more wellness into their lives, different alternative modalities. We had over 60 different speakers. Most of those presentations were free. It's an amazing way to kind of give back to the community that shows up in attendance. Again, all around self-improvement, evolution, self-awareness, mindfulness.
It was just a wonderful weekend, and we've done this a number of years, and it's continued to grow, and really people are really understanding that there's a lot of different alternative ways to improve your health. And that's why the community is growing, and that's why the vendor base is growing, and people are just really embracing it more and more each year.
It's an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing when you kind of see, that people are really, really looking to improve and better their lives. It's an amazing thing.
And that was kind of what I wanted to ask you guys next. Why is holistic wellness important to you, and why do you think it's growing in importance to the general public?
Wow. Well, when you look at the word holistic, right, it's all of us. It's all parts of us. So it's our physicality, It's our mental state. It's the spiritual aspect of ourselves. And I feel it's so important at this time because, as we know with world events, people are in a lot of chaos. And as we begin to learn all these different segments of what really makes a complete whole us, it can only improve your life.
And I think it's one of those things that we embraced it about 12 years ago. And we've seen the results for our own lives. You know, how much healthier we are now as opposed to 10 years ago. And a lot of the people have come to the show over the years who have been with the community. We've seen their lives improve too. And it's just looking at options. It's not saying this is right or this is wrong. It's just exploring different options, being open to it, open to listen.
And being curious. Being curious about yourself, being curious about other things that perhaps you've never heard of, you've never experienced, things such as meditation, sound healing, even aura photography is an incredible thing for people to experience because it shows you all the different colors that exist around our physical body. And those are not things that we talk about typically every day.
Right.
So you had the expo. It was a huge success. But what other endeavors is Heart of Oneness up to?
So we are super excited that, what would you say, about 8 months ago, we launched what kind of really was divine guidance and what we felt would be the next right step to take for the expo. We actually opened a wellness boutique in Manalapan, New Jersey, in which we get the opportunity to collaborate with a lot of the participants that do the show. Many of the businesses that we collaborate with don't necessarily have a storefront. They don't necessarily have a practice location that they can work out of. So this space is kind of that, where we can feature some of their products and services.
So it's in Manalapan, New Jersey. It's 710 Tennant Road. It's called Heart of Oneness Wellness Boutique. And to my wife's point, it really is an opportunity just to share the expo year round.
And so you guys, so that space then is not only a shopping space, but a place where people can go and meet with different practitioners, whether it be perhaps Reiki or massage, things like that?
Exactly. And we also host different workshops. So we'll host jewelry classes. We'll host different events here. Sometimes someone just wants to come in and teach about wellness when it comes to eating. Someone might want to come in and do some intuitive readings and guidance and offer something like that. So we want to keep it diverse and we want to keep it really open here.
That sounds absolutely incredible. It looks like a wonderful space. Guys, when is your next event and where can we find out more information about Heart of Oneness?
The next show is March 7th, 8th, and 9th, 2025. It's an annual event. We're starting our prep now. So if you go to heartofonenessholisticexpo.com, we'll put the tickets up probably in a couple weeks. And we're excited about promoting the show for next year.
Super
Guys,
excited.
thank you so much for your time today, for joining us. The expo looks incredible. I can't wait to get down to that shop. You got me hook, line, and sinker because I'm completely into all of the holistic wellness stuff. So I will definitely be stopping by at some point this summer.
Amazing. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very
really.
much. We appreciate it.
Thank you both. Thank you both again. Have a great weekend.
All right, thank you.
Cara, we could all use a little holistic wellness in our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? It really is something I believe in. And because like she said, when you talk about holistic wellness, you are talking about looking at things from a whole person aspect. So when you know, it's the best description I've ever gotten of holistic wellness is, you know, regular Western medicine is, oh, there's a tack in your foot. Let me give you something for the pain. And holistic wellness is, why don't we find a way to take the tack out of your foot? You know, and it's just kind of that more like, you know, let's get to the root of the problem. Let's see what other ways, like they said, that curiosity. Is there another methodology that I can use to solve this problem? You know, and I think so many people are searching for that these days.
I think they are. I think they are, especially just in the daily lives of the stressors of New Jersey. But we have some good points here, too.
Yep.
Well, we talk to local leaders every week here on New Jersey about what's happening in their town. Here to talk about what's new in Belleville, located in Essex County, is Mayor Michael Mellum. Mayor, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you this week. So, Mayor, starting off, you guys are going to be cracking down on dirt bikes and ATVs because currently police are prohibited from engaging in chases. So tell us a little bit how you guys plan to approach this.
Sure. I mean, that's still going to be a sore subject within the township. I mean, I get emails from residents all the time, especially now as spring approaches. And speaking of spring, here in Belleville, New Jersey, cherry blossom capital of America, our
That's
cherry
it.
blossoms are in full bloom. And with the warmer weather, unfortunately, comes the onslaught of ATV bikes and dirt bikes. They travel in packs. They could be a dozen, they could be 50 or 60. We've had north of 100 riders riding
Ooh.
up and down our main streets, again, in unlicensed for the road, dirt bikes and ATVs. They go right through red lights. They ride on the wrong side of the street. And unfortunately, for some time now, our local police department and many other local police departments, this is not an urban or a suburban issue. This is happening statewide where police departments unfortunately have to stand down. There's really nothing they can do. They cannot attempt to stop. They can't pull somebody over. There's really nothing they can do but sit there and watch these hordes of riders drive by, terrorizing our streets. They ride on the sidewalk. They ride down the wrong way to the street. They ride right through red lights. It's really a danger to our everyday residents that are trying to either cross an intersection or trying to cross a crosswalk with a child. It's really becoming an issue, and our residents are getting really fed up.
Yeah, Mike, I'm going to jump in on you really fast, only to say that I was in neighboring Montclair just last weekend and saw something very similar. I mean, just going right up Bloomfield Ave, and like you said, there probably were 50 riders, dirt bikes, ATVs, popping wheelies, going through the red light. A lot of noise. Those machines just create a lot of noise. And I was surprised to see them because they're really not meant to be on the road. They're meant to be in the woods and on a trail somewhere. I'm like, guys, get over to a park somewhere.
Right. Yeah, they're not licensed for street. And unfortunately, you would think that, local police department would roll up and attempt to stop and try to pull them over. We have orders from the Attorney General's office to stand down. And that's really frustrating and infuriating to me because what happens is our residents see this and they say, why aren't your local cops doing anything? We saw a police car in the vicinity and it just turned away. Your cops are doing nothing. And they don't realize that there's policies that are enacted by in Trenton by unelected bureaucrats that tell our police departments what they can and can't do. You can't attempt to stop. Even if you follow a dirt bike, if you don't even put the lights on, you're not attempting to stop, but you are behind that rider. If that rider perceives that he's being followed by the police and speeds away and gets into an accident, the local police department is liable, the municipality is liable, and that particular police officer is actually liable. Unfortunately, we're protecting bad actors and not the person trying to cross the street or my mother trying to drive through a major intersection.
Wow, sounds like the law needs to change there and change fast. Mayor, you have focused much of your time in restocking the housing supply in Belleville. Can you tell us how that project is going?
Sure. It's been 6 years since we've been mayor and this administration has taken place. If you know Belleville, we're northern New Jersey. We border the city of Newark. We're an aging municipality. We are quasi-urban and suburban. I tell people all the time, we have a little bit of everybody. From our borders, we border the largest city in New Jersey. And from our hilltops, we can see one of the largest cities in the world in New York City. And we have a little bit of everything for everybody. We have suburban areas and urban areas. And lately, in the past 6 years or so, we've taken a lot of our empty lots that really blighted our main business district. And we've encouraged developers to come on in and actually build these mixed-use residential complexes that are absolutely stunning. They are considered luxury apartments. They have the finest amenities. And we find that we're actually starting to attract young professionals with disposable income to spend locally here. We are not attracting families that are burdening our schools or anything like that. So we kind of like what's coming in. We have about 1,800 units that are in the queue. And these projects really started even before me. These projects take a 4 to 5 year timeline to plan and to actually stand up. We're starting to see some of those buildings stand up, and the township is receiving some additional revenue that's much needed in these trying times.
Absolutely. That's really interesting. And I like that you know who's coming into these new units, because that is always a concern, I think, for residents is if you're overburdening the school system, now the property taxes are going up.
Exactly.
Another project that you've been working on, you've been have spoken about wanting to end the line ballots, which is something we've talked about here on this show before. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Belleville's municipal elections are considered nonpartisan. So we have elections actually happening right now. We have elections that happen in May. A lot of towns are partisan. So therefore, they have a June primary and a November general election. But it doesn't matter the size of the municipality. Some of the largest municipalities in New Jersey, Newark, and Patterson, the third largest, they both have nonpartisan elections, which means that we elect our elected officials, mayor here in Belleville, mayor and council, by non-party affiliation, meaning everybody just runs together. So it's basically the person with the best message that has the opportunity to get that message out has a solid chance of winning. So somebody like me, I am not a registered Democrat. I am not a registered Republican. I am an unaffiliated voter, or you might consider me an independent. A lot of people say, Mayor, you've done such a great job in the past 6 years. We know you're going places. You have your eye on something, the Assembly, the Senate, Congress. And I look at them and say, you don't understand the way it is in New Jersey. I am not in the queue. Historically, I'm not in that. I'm not in with the Republican Party in the county. I'm not in with the Democrat Party in the county. Therefore, they don't have my name on a list.
Right.
They can't select me to run in a June primary and basically anoint me to be the next elected official, because that's what happens. So here it levels the playing field for people like me. If I want to look outside of Belleville, which currently I'm very focused on Belleville, but if I do want to look outside of Belleville, somebody like me now has a level playing field to actually run for higher office if I so choose to do that.
Mayor, real quickly, could you give us an update on the replacement of the residential lead service lines?
Sure. Like I said, Belleville's got an aging infrastructure. We border Newark. We actually share some of their infrastructure. So as you saw in the last couple of years, Mayor Baraka did a great job replacing all lead service lines. Unfortunately, Belleville didn't get the windfall of money that other municipalities got. So we're doing it slowly but surely. We have a state mandate, an unfunded state and federal mandate to replace all residential lead service lines. And thankfully, our Congresswoman, Mikey Sherrill, actually came through this office about 3 or 4 weeks ago with $1 million check. It's
Wow.
but a small down payment on what we need to do all residential service lines. A project that'll probably take $30 to $40 million to do townwide, which, by the way, is nearly half of our entire annual budget. But we're chipping away at that slowly but surely.
Wow, that's really again, it's not, you don't think of a local municipality's budget being in the multiple millions of dollars, but when we talk to you mayors and learn more about what's going on locally, you really start to get a more clear picture of what it takes to run these towns here in New Jersey.
We are a budget of $80 million annually.
Wow, really incredible stuff. Mayor Michael Melm, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you sharing what's going on in Belleville, your vision for the town, and thank you again. We hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad he mentioned the cherry blossoms.
Yes, he did. He did.
Those are really cool just to see them. I was live streaming them to check them out on the website, and it looked beautiful before the winds came in and kind of knocked all the petals off just last week.
But yeah, really interesting stuff though too when you think about these different municipalities and really like it's just what it takes to operate them. I mean, the police chase thing, I know. I think that resulted from, and you and I have been in news for a long time, I think there was a fatal police chase, and it really just wound up being one of these things where the Attorney General said, listen, it's more dangerous to chase these guys through the residential streets than it is to just let them, and it's unfortunate that that's what it's come to, but, if they're already being reckless, if they're already running red lights, they're just going to keep going with a cop behind them.
But you know what happens? It's going to take an unfortunate incident for the public to be reactive instead of being proactive. And I think we're going to maybe hear more about this.
I'm sure we will. All right, guys, there's more New Jersey Morning Show coming up.